Shabbat Shalom. Biratzoni lekadem birkat bruchim habaim lekol hanimtzaim kan ha'erev. It's a very great pleasure to welcome so many into our Beit Knesset and to wish bruchim habaim to those who are joining us on the live stream. We're going to begin tonight with our Kabbalat Shabbat service, at which time I'll be joined by my friend Ido and by Sharon. Our joy is colored by the events of the last 24 hours. Still, it's incumbent upon us to try and sense oneg, joy in even the darkness, and to find peace during this time. And so I invite both forward. I'm going to adjourn to my drum. So those of you who are watching online and wondering who's playing the drum, that's me. And if you don't like it, it could be anyone. Okay, come.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, U'mevorach, Shabbat Shalom, U'mevorach, Shir HaMalot b'shuv Adonai, et Shivat Zion hayinu kechomim. Shabbat Shalom, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Page 126. Mayafe Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Mayafe Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Mayafe Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Mayafe Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. We'll now turn to page 128 for Ki Eshmera Shabbat. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, Ishmereni. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, Ishmereni. Oti le'omeat beino ubeini. Oti le'omeat beino ubeini. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, Ishmereni. Ki Eshmera Shabbat,
now turn to page 137 for the words of Adonai Oz. Turn to page 138 for the words of the Chadodi, bring in the Shabbat bride.
Shabbat Kabbalat,
Shemo
for just a moment as we bench Shabbos Licht.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו לעד לפני שבת.
Amen.
Amen.
Good Shabbos. He was so selected. Please be seated.
We'll now turn to page 140 for the words of Ms. Moshier.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך היום, ולזמר לשמך היום. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך היום, ולזמר לשמך היום. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, באמונתך בלילות, הרי הסוף הלילה, והרי היגיון בחינות. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך היום, ולזמר לשמך היום. כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך אענן. מה גדול מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. איש בחי לא ידע, חסד לא יבין את זאת. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך היום, ולזמר לשמך היום. צדיק אתה מעריך, כארז בלבנון, בלבנון יזכה, שטובי בבית אדוני, בחצות אלוהינו יפריחו, עוד ינובון בצבע, דשנים ורעננים יהיו להגיד, כי השער אדוני צורי, ולא המלטה בו. We'll now turn to page 142 for the words of Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Yon, Mi Melech
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachuni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. שובכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם, שלום עליכם, מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך הוא. We rise now for the Chatzi Kaddish on page 144. יתקדש ויתקדש לרבה.
אמן.
להמה תפרח ירוצה, וימלך מלכותה, בחייכון ובמכון, ובחיידכו בית ישראל.
בגלה, בגלה, ובזמן קריב.
ואמרו
אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעלם עולם והמיה, יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה
ויחו.
לילה מן כל בחרתה ושירתה
ושמחתה ונחמתה תמיד בעלמא.
ואמרו אמן. ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Won't you please be seated and permit me to welcome those who have just joined with us. It's not when you arrive that matters most, it's just that you arrive, so that's great. When I finished up my work in Sydney's North Shore Temple Emmanuel at the end of 2016, my sister rang and she said, "You can now be a JFK Jew." And I said, "Laura, what are you talking about? What do you mean a JFK Jew?" She says, "One who comes just for Kiddush." I said, "I wouldn't dream of it. I'd come at least 20 minutes before." So we're going to resume now in the Siddur on page 148 and read together in the Ivrit, saying, "Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, אשר בדברו מעריב ערבים, בחוכמה פותח שערים, ובתבונה משנה עתים, ומחליף הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים.
Turn to page 150 for Ahavat Olam.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגי יומם בלילה, נגי יומם בלילה. באהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד, שם כבוד, מלכותו לעולם, לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך. וקשרתם לאות ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל, ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת. והיה לכם לציצית וריתם אותו וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
I'd like to share a reading by an author by the name of Mark Nazimova. This a reflection on the theme of Geula, of redemption, and in anticipation of the singing of Micha Mocha in a moment. He writes, the Israelites walked into the sea 1 foot at a time. What were they thinking about as the water rose up their legs, chilling their hearts, advancing toward their open mouths? We continue to walk here now 1 foot at a time, on our better days forward, alone. I cannot reach the far shore without drowning. Somehow I don't go under. The person to my right holds me up. Something I cannot see holds him up. Blessed is the source of help, so often unexpected. As I step forward, the sea is vast. But you are blessed, O gracious one, for the miracles that greet us every day. Baruch atah Adonai, al nisecha shebechol yom imanu. We continue now and join in singing on page 158. It appears the holidays are coming, I can hear it.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע הים לפני משה ומרים, זיהי אנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כיפה אדוני את יעקב, וגדול מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת, סוכת שלומך. ותקננו בעצת טובה מלפניך, והושיענו למען שמך, והגן בעדנו והסר מעלינו אויב, דבר וחרב ורע ויגון, והרחק ממנו עוון ופשע. ובצל כנפיך תסתירנו, כי אל שומרנו מצילנו אתה, כי אל חנון ברחומתה. ושמור צאתנו ואוהנו לחיים ולשלום, מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו, ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים.
We'll turn to page 162 for the words of Veshamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We'll now turn forward to page 164 and we will rise for the beginning of the Amidah.
Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי אגיד תהילתך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה ואלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא, עליון, גומר חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עושה ומשיח ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ויצחק שרה, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב והושיע, משיב רוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל הגבורות ומיתות מלך, מלך במיתות חיה ומשמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים, אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Al korchacha ata nolad, v'al korchacha ata met. Our Chazal, the sages of blessed memory, once taught, neither the time of our birth nor the time of our death can ever be known. Rather, it is the way that we occupy ourselves in the time between the dashes which matters most. On this Shabbat, we join with people everywhere of every race, creed, and color and recognize the passing of Queen Elizabeth II at the age of 96 Kenan Hora. And we extend condolences to King Charles III and his entire family. Our flags outside have been lowered to half-mast to reflect the sadness of our nation and the heaviness which rests on so many hearts. For all that was good and honorable in the life of the Queen, for her service to her nation and to the Commonwealth, we say, Zichrona Baruch, may her memory be a blessing. Though there are surely among us tonight many royalists and just as many Republicans, as Jews we can unite in recognizing her for the symbolic leadership she has shown throughout her monarchy, and to acknowledge the chen, the grace and dignity with which she has carried herself for the last 70, often turbulent, always changing years. The Queen was not perfect, and despite the uncanny appearance of rainbows in the sky at the time of her passing, she was not an angel either. She lived a gilded life, utterly unlike our own. But she appears to me to have been a genuinely good person who tried and did, in so many instances, make a difference in the lives of others. The great number of tributes pouring in from around the world, from politicians, from celebrities, as well, and most importantly, from those who, like us, never knew her personally, but who related to her somehow. Well, they read as if the contributors had themselves lost a grandparent, a friend, a life companion. President Emmanuel Macron of France believed that she embodied the British nation's continuity and unity for over 70 years, and he remembered her as a kind-hearted queen. Our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, highlighted her fidelity, integrity, and humor. Many people noted her good humor. Governor General David Hurley chose to recall her dignity and her compassion, her dedication and tireless work ethic, her selflessness, and unwavering commitment to the people that she served. Overseas, new British Prime Minister Liz Truss, who was appointed Prime Minister by the Queen only this past Tuesday, it's extraordinary, commented on the Queen's devotion to duty, while former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, echoing the sentiments of many others, said of the Queen that she seemed so timeless and so wonderful that I am afraid we had come to believe, like children, that she would just go on and on. American President Joseph Biden chose to reflect on her humor and her charm, while Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was struck by her warmth and by her kindness. One could go on and on. I was interested to hear from another seemingly timeless Brit, Rolling Stones frontman Mick Jagger, who was himself knighted by Queen Elizabeth in 2002, he remembered her steadfastness, saying, "For my whole life, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth has always been there. In my childhood, I can recall watching her wedding highlights on TV. I remember her as a beautiful young lady. To the much-beloved grandmother of the nation, my deepest sympathies." Dame Helen Mirren, who won an Oscar for her unbelievable portrayal of the monarch in The Queen, wrote that she felt that she was a woman who, with or without the crown, was the epitome of nobility. Sir Elton John called the Queen an inspiring presence to be around, who led the country through some of the greatest and darkest moments, always with grace, with decency, and genuine caring warmth. Taken together, these and so many other tributes form a portrait of a person who lived a uniquely privileged, utterly uncommon life, but who was, paradoxically, so relatable, so respected, even beloved. Of course, having grown up in the U.S., a lot of this is very hard for me to entirely appreciate. Moreover, as a Jew, I am imbued with the belief that we are all the same in death. There is no special deference due to the rich or to the poor, to the great and to the small. Why, we are all alike. It is an important principle, and it's worth mentioning this evening. But there are, we'll all recognize, occasions when we feel ourselves stop and pause and reflect. When people pass away, people who've been part of the wallpaper of our lives for a very long time. People like Steve Irwin, Shane Warne most recently, John Lennon, Princess Di, or President John F. Kennedy, for example. When we pause now and periodically throughout the next 10 days, we will touch upon a common moment that humanity can share in a world filled with so much dissonance and discord, and that is a blessing. On a personal note, I remember how my wife Jocelyn was somewhat amused when soon after our arrival in 1988 here in Australia, she was extended the honor of saying a prayer for the Queen and all the royal family. She got a big kick out of that. Sometime after that, I wondered about the prudence of such a prayer. What I found out subsequently is that we Jews have long prayed on behalf of those who lead us. Among the prayers known as Birkat HaNehinin is one said when seeing a head of state. We say Shenatan mikavodo levasar vadam, at which time we thank God for having shared something of God's glory with human beings. In an article from the Jewish Chronicle earlier this year, the writer Nick Abery reminded us that in the book of Jeremiah, in chapter 29, we are taught, "And find the protection in the city where you have been exiled to, and pray to God on its behalf, for in its prosperity you shall succeed." Early on, we're instructed to give a prayer of thanks and acknowledgement for the welfare of the ruling party, government, or monarch. In a 14th century liturgical work written by Rabbi David Abadurham in Spain, it is already clear that it is customary to ask for blessings for the king. Evidently, A prayer for the English royal house was being recited in Amsterdam as early as 1642. This despite Jews having been formally expelled from England in 1290. That's real loyalty. Even here at TBI, as in most progressive congregations, we have throughout most of our history prayed for the royal family's welfare. In that spirit, and in closing, I will recite a prayer released today by the Chief Rabbi of the United Kingdom, Ephraim Mervis, which, as you will hear, bears overtones of the familiar Eshet Chayil from Proverbs chapter 31. And at this time, I'd like to invite you to stand as we honor the Queen both with this prayer and with a moment of silence. Ribon ha'olamim, melech malchei hamlachim, b'shamayim uva'aretz. God of the universe, we, the members of this congregation, mourn the passing of Sovereign Lady Queen Elizabeth II, who has gone to her eternal rest. In an age of profound change, she signified order and justice, and in times of tension, she offered generosity of spirit. A defender of faith with an unfailing sense of duty, she was a steadfast guardian of liberty, a symbol of unity and a champion of justice in all the lands of her dominion. Clothed in strength and dignity, she spoke with wisdom, and the law of kindness was on her tongue. She watched over the ways of her nation and never ate the bread of idleness. In life, she was a most gracious monarch who occupied a throne of distinction and honor. In death, may her legacy inspire the nations of the world to live together in righteousness and in peace. Yehi ratzon milfanecha, may you grant Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II perfect rest forevermore under the protective cover of your divine wings. And let us say, Amen. Please remain standing for a moment of personal silent prayer. Thank you. May her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. Amen. Amen. We continue now on page 586. Remain standing as we join in Aleinu.
לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
On this Shabbat, Shabbat Ki Tetzei, we remember the following individuals who've passed away within the last 30 days and those who've been taken from us only within the Shiva period of 7 days, namely Sylvia Alden, Tibor Katz, and Keith Steinhardt. We remember Mikhail Belsky, Lionel Berkowitz, Doris Burston, Beryl Feldman, Rachel Gettler, Peter Glow, Rosaline Gomer, John Grossinger, Morris Lukowitz, Dr. Helen Light, Robert Rosenberg, and Lillian Smith. And we observe, together with the families of the following individuals, the Yortzites for David Aarons, Gabrielle Adamson Pinchevsky, Richard Alkali, Shireen Alber, Ralph Fredman, Brandon Griffin, Zisla Gross, Ellie Hopkins, Katie Jacoby, Gladys Kahn, I'm sorry, this is the wrong list. I beg your pardon. This week's Yortzites, rather, are Max Arnott, Joseph Bentada, Bina Best, Gertrude Bach, Sadie Alexander Cohen, Susie Glazer, Jacqueline Goldsmith, Josie Grinblatt, Fritz Herrling, Carl Hershen. Leslie Honig, Abraham Jacoby, Magda Jacobovitz, Claire Jonas, Ludwig Jonas, Ann Lee, Ron Lowe, Pinchas Meisner, Philip Opas, Mala Pfeffer, Max Phillips, Harry Redner, John Hastings Reardon, Jessel Rothfield, Harold Sackville, Hanka Salkman, Baruch Shustik, Jeffrey Starr, Lothar Steen, Lillian Terry, Karen Lee Topol, and Faye Willer Nass. Are there other names that should be said aloud at this time? Thank you. Thank you. Zichronam livracha. May their memories endure as a blessing as we invite those who remember them to lead us in the recitation of Kaddish, page 598, saying, Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalmad divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei techol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imeru amen, Yehei shemei rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lamei u'maya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'tadar v'talev v'talal shemei dekudesha b'richu, leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran v'alma v'imru amen, yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Please be seated. And call upon Joanne to share with us her greetings and to familiarize with a couple of things going on. A reminder, please, that there's coffee and tea. There's a little bit of cake, some fruit and challah and grape juice and wine, all set aside for you should you wish to remain and to share your reflections with one another about the passing of the Queen just hours ago. Please.
Shabbat Shalom. How beautiful are our services. Thank you, Rabbi Robach, Eli, Ido, and Sharon for an uplifting, meaningful and reflective start to Shabbat. If you are here in time of memory, I hope you have found comfort in being with your community. Please join us tomorrow as Benji and Elijah become B'nai Mitzvah at Shakrit services, and at 4 p.m. for Mincha as Zaidi becomes a Bat Mitzvah. Mazel tov to their families. Coming up this week, on Thursday at 12:30, Rabbi Robach will lead the first of 2 lunchtime sessions, all about the laws and customs, songs and spirit of the Yemim Noraim, please visit the Back to School, Back to Shul webpage and click on Jewish Festivals, Meaning and Music to register. Looking ahead, we will officially commence our High Holidays Yemim Noraim programming with Slachot on Saturday the 17th of September. Service will commence at 8 p.m, followed by Havdalah, a screening and discussion of Hanan Hakol's short film Repair, and a special debut musical performance by Beth Reardon. We invite all bubs and tots aged 0 to 6 to come along to a special pre-Rosh Hashanah celebration on Friday the 23rd of September from 10 a.m. I wish you all Shabbat Shalom.
We'll turn to page 647 for Ozzy Vizimratia.
Characteristic good cheer.
Ozzy Vizimratia, Vayehili Yeshua. Ozzy Vizimratia, Vayehili Yeshua.
Shalakum, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafem. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kadesho b'ahava uv'ratzon inchilanu, zikaron lemahaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol amim v'shabbat kodshecha b'ahava uv'ratzon hinechaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Please.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Please take this opportunity to give your blessings and best wishes to those seated to your left and to your right and front and behind. Good Shabbos. Thank you for your time.